What's going on, guys? This is John here at the Fantasy Tap, and we got our guy Hugh back again for another DFS episode. Obviously, Hugh has been studying up on the DFS. It's week 1. He watched that Tom Brady game. What'd you think about last night's game?
It was everything that I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be a high-scoring game. Thought that it was going to go back and forth. Brady and Dak. I just had the wrong guy. I really bit into that narrative and fell down the rabbit hole with Godwin and his injury. So I played Evans, and that was obviously not the right play. But
Hey, I've been flying high on that Mike Evans hate this offseason, and I got nervous at the beginning of the game, but about halftime, I was like, you know what? AB's looking great. Godwin's looking great. I can confidently not continue my shit talk for Mike Evans. But as we get into this offseason, it is obviously week 1. And what that means for everyone is that there's only speculative data on any of these players, how these offenses are going to work, what these defenses are going to look like. So at this point, you're kind of you're not making as informed picks at this point, in my opinion. There's not as much to go off of.
I agree with that. Yeah, you're. This is probably weeks 1 through 3 is probably the loosest pricing you're going to find on the sites, and you're probably going to get some of the most diverse, either diverse lineups, or you're going to get really chalky lineups because everybody's just kind of congregating around certain games. So,
yeah. All right. Yeah. So what? Obviously, week 1. With the limited amount of data that we have, what kind of games are you looking for in this situation? Obviously, you're looking for a high-scoring game. You want a lot of points because obviously that's where fantasy points come from. Is there anything else that you're really keying in on when you're looking at the players you're picking besides just their name?
I'm trying to gain ownership values of who I think is going to be highly owned, and then try and leverage that play off with somebody else that is in the same game. However, I'm not taking what the field is taking. So, this Tennessee Arizona game, a lot of people are probably going to hop on DeAndre Hopkins, AJ
Absolutely.
Brown, Julio Jones, the big names. Ways to get around that. You go with Anthony Ferkser, you go Rondale
Okay.
Moore, guys like that. So you're looking for workarounds to still stay in that same game and try and mooch some of those points off.
Yeah. I mean, because the ball has to get – I mean, the ball gets thrown all over the field. We saw last night. It wasn't – the only 3 people that got the ball wasn't just Mike Evans and Chris Godwin and Antonio Brown. Scotty Miller got some work. Gio Bernard got his name out there. So you
No,
never
you
know.
forgot Gronk, man. I mean, it looked like
Hey, I expected Gronk to be a monster. I'm just glad it happened.
I expected that goal line work. I was probably my stat line for him was probably going to be 4 for 34 around there with a touchdown. I didn't think he's going to go off that.
No, I'm going to be honest, me either. He still looks good, though.
Looks good.
So going over the positions this week, what are some of your favorite quarterbacks that you're throwing into lineups right now? And what kind of situations are you throwing these guys in?
Yeah, so I'm really keying in. I think a lot of people are this Eagles Falcons game. That looks
Yeah,
like it's going to be a barn burner there. I mean, you're coming off of 2 defenses that last year just bled fantasy points to either team.
everyone.
So so Matt Ryan, Jalen Hurts. You got Ryan, who's priced lower than Jalen Hurts just because of the rushing upside. So Hurts is at 6,400, and you got Ryan at 6K. So right now I'm looking at ownership values, and Hurts looks like about 10%, and Ryan's looking about 5% as of right now from what I'm seeing that his ownership value is. So again, like we talked about earlier, you're in that same game. You're going to be playing guys that are jamming in Hurts, but why not go Ryan? I mean, you're going to get the points in DK for that over 300. You get the bonus point for that, and the touchdowns are gonna fly. So
Okay, yeah. I actually really like Jalen Hurts a lot this week too. And Matt Ryan, I'm obviously I'm not nearly as informed as you. I'm just the more casual DFS player. So when I'm looking at it, I'm basically just projecting points. And just who's going to have great games, where the great game's coming from. And with that limited knowledge, Jalen Hurts was someone that like stuck out to me because it's going to be that high scoring game. He does have that upside to find himself into the end zone. And at only the 4,000 difference or the 400 difference, if I needed to take another quarterback and I couldn't budget for Hurts the way I do my stuff, which is why I'm here to learn from you, then I feel comfortable going Ryan too.
Well, if you're looking to go dirt cheap, you want some real dirt and find some points in the dirt. I'm looking at this Sam Darnold narrative of the revenge game. I'm really looking at that. Yeah, so he's at 5K right now on DK, and he is showing only about 4%, 4.5% ownership. So I mean, you're really going down there, and you really want to save some money. You can look at that, and you can stack Darnold with those pass catchers there, or you can even stack them with Christian McCaffrey for that reception upside.
Yeah, and honestly, this week is a great week to spend up on those big players like Christian McCaffrey, because like you were saying earlier, a lot of these great play running backs or other positions, their values are all over the place right now. And there's a lot of really, really valuable players that you can get cheap. So if you need to budget in that incredibly expensive running back, there's ways you can do it. I had him in there for a minute on my lineup. I'm going to be giving you guys a little bit later. What do you feel about where did he go? I'm thinking Jameis Winston. I saw him down here at 5,200 against Green Bay.
Mm-hmm. That's another that's another game you can target there. That's got a point total of right now I think it's at 50. For the last I saw. So it's more, I think probably one of the more quieter games for some reason that I'm seeing there. A lot of I don't see a lot of buzz floating around that game. So you might be, you could grab somebody like a Kamara with that. He's priced only at 8,600, but like he's gonna like feast, and he's only projected at like 18% ownership as of right now. So it's like a little unheard of. I mean, stacking him with Jameis, I mean, you're only got to consider, though, everybody's heard of Marquez Callaway. Everybody's considered, everyone's considered, he's only $3,400. So he'd be one of those chalk plays that's like a lot of people are going to have him as a salary saver. So you can go with him, or Juwan Jennings, right?
Is that the?
I think that's the. Yeah, right.
Is he the new receiver there?
Pretty sure. I think they just.
Man, they've lost.
I don't know. I'm just What, Adam Troutman came off the injury list as well. So I mean,
I believe so. Mike told me
you got him. Yes, you got him. I mean, there's ways to get around. Devontae's priced up, so you can get around with MVS. Still have some skin in that game. That one's a nice one to go to if you're looking to get off some of the main, higher scoring games. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, when you're talking about taking these guys that still have skin in the game, is that in a we talked about it in the last episode. There's the 50-50 leagues, there's tournament style, there's money leagues, there's all these different things. Which situations are you taking shots on the MVS compared to just finding someone else that might just be a little more secure?
So I'm looking at taking, deeper shots or just these contrarian plays where I'm looking at guys that have like less than 5% ownership on tournaments. So any, GPP, anything with a mass multi-entry or, that has a very large quantity of entrants. That's where I'm trying to look at taking shots at players that are less likely to be owned. More of the 50-50s, cash games. I'm looking for a little more ownership, more percentage, a little more, no name value, a little more like substance in that player, kind of looking for a guaranteed floor. So in GPP, we're not really looking for a floor. We're looking for ceiling. We want that top scorer. We want that one person that's just going to get us up and over that next person to get us hopefully from 100 to 1,000, something like that.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Makes sense. Now, what about when we go over to the running backs? Is there anyone that's been sticking out to you so far that you're thinking is a player that needs to be on the lineup for you?
So somebody cheap that if you're looking to save some cash at the running back position, I'm looking at Melvin Gordon. That's a low game total right now, and he is 5,300 on DraftKings. He's projected to like less than a percent ownership, to be honest.
Wow.
And the Broncos, I think that game's just going to be a slugfest in defense, and just the Broncos are just going to run the ball and play really good defense. And I'm running with that narrative, and jam him into your lineups if you need some salary relief there. Other guys, like I mentioned, Alvin Kamara, he's pretty good, up at 8,600, and he's about 18% ownership. Another one, probably you're not going to see him at this range for most of the season. Him and Derrick Henry, they're both at around just below 9K.
Yeah.
So Derrick Henry's at 88, showing about 13% ownership at this point. So you can jam him in. Another one I like, kind of a narrative that I've been seeing is the running backs in the Chiefs Cleveland game, particularly the Cleveland side. If they want to run that ball, slow that tempo down, you're going to see a lot of, trying to be 5-8 minute drives for them, sort of a deal. So that way you just keep Patrick Mahomes off the field. Same thing with Naji Harris. He is someone I'm actually looking at pretty heavily. Only 6,300 and a 12% projected ownership rating right now. So, I mean, you want to keep Josh Allen off the field and you want to keep Seth Diggs from scoring. Steelers don't have the greatest secondary right now. They have a great front, but they don't have a great secondary. So, I mean, shoot, just put Najee in.
Yeah, I actually really like James Robinson this week a lot going against the Texans, especially if the Jags. He's only 6,400 right now. Especially if the Jags get out onto an early lead, they're going to run the ball. And if they end up in a situation where it's a shootout and the Tyrod Taylor is actually being a competent NFL quarterback, James Robinson's still going to get his work in the pass catching game. I think that he's cheap enough to almost be a really safe play. I don't know what his percent ownership is currently, to be honest.
Yeah, let me look at that soon.
Yeah.
James Robinson here. All right.
And then is there, I'm looking now, they've got Alexander Madison at 5K. Is that ever the play? Do you ever set a lineup where you're playing the handcuff just in case? Dalvin Cook goes down on the second play. No one else.
No. I don't think I'm banging an injury for anything. I think the only time I do something like that is if I know it's like a running back by committee, and it's something like what we saw last night, where there's 3 running backs. Nobody really knows what's going to go on. Take a shot in the dark and pick one, right? So last night it just happened to be Leonard Fournette that came in there. Another backfield you could target like that would be the Niners. No one really knows who's going to get more, Mostert or Sermon. So, I mean, you can just take the cheaper value and play Sermon and know that backfield's going to get some work. So you're going to get points somewhere.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
So go back to your James Robinson there. It was projected about 15% ownership.
Oh, okay. And what is your target percentage, or what's a high percentage and what's a low percentage?
So a good stay between is for GPPs is anywhere between 75% ownership and 125. Okay. So anywhere between there, you're really getting into it with 75. A real, if you want to narrow it down, stay anywhere between 105 to about 115 in ownership percentage.
Okay, 115%.
Yeah, you should. When you're getting about 125 and above is when you start getting into cash games. A lot of guys are going to have these people, and they're just the names of the week.
Understood. Makes sense, though. All right. And then who's your favorite receiver that we got this week at a good price, reasonable price, cheap price? Besides, I mean, you mentioned Callaway. Do you recommend Callaway this week in that no ownership range?
If you really want to, if you're going to use someone like Callaway, you need to have a different way to be different from the field. So you should be using Callaway and then picking from a game that's not one of these top games of the week it's a high scoring game. You should be picking a different game to be contrarian at that point if you're going to use Callaway with mostly everybody. But I like the wide receivers from like the Jags. So using
I like
Chenault,
LaVisca. Yeah.
yeah, Chenault and Marvin Jones. Marvin Jones is down at 3,600. He's only projected about 18%. Um, so basically $200 more expensive than Marquez Callaway, but still projected as the number one wide receiver for the Jags. And I mean,
Yep.
Jones hasn't had it. In the last 2 years, he's had over, was it 9+ touchdowns or something like that? I think it was that he's
I
had over the
believe
last
so.
2 years. Yeah.
Yeah, he's
So
been balling out the past couple, especially with Kenny Golladay out for the majority of the season. Last year, he really showed out.
yeah, so I mean, I don't see any dip in him. I mean, other than that AC joint sprain that he's had, but all indications point that he's good to go for the game. So I mean, he's a baller. He's a player. He came from Cal. Um, but I mean, he's going to play. So I mean, 18% versus Callaway's 32. I mean, right there, you're already being different and
Yeah.
only having to spend $200 more. So
What about Michael Pittman for you? I like his value a lot. He's only 4,100. Is that am I smart in playing him this week?
yeah, you can go with Pittman. I think Pittman's a good bring back if you're looking to stack that game with
Seattle.
Seattle. Yeah, he is definitely somebody. He's showing up at 4,100. About 11% ownership, so still pretty good. He's got probably a projection of like 12 points or so, like ceiling of like almost 20. So I mean, you're getting pretty his DK value right now is just level. He's even. So like he's basically not really looking to lose you the week, and he's not really looking to win you. So it's just kind of like staying par with him for right now.
Okay, fair enough. And then another guy that I found in one of my lineups, and speaking with you, I'm starting to question it. I had Terry McLaurin in here, and that was partly because I do think that Ryan Fitzpatrick might end up in a situation that he has to be chasing Justin Herbert in points.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of people are going to be playing him. And I feel like you're going to tell me I'm wrong in that.
No, I mean, I don't see any reason why you wouldn't want to play him.
Okay.
He's got about 13% ownership, 6,400. He's going around, let's see, other guys that you could look at that price range. So let's see here.
At that range, you're looking at like Tyler Lockett. You're looking at
Yeah.
Deontay Johnson, Juju Smith-Schuster, DJ Moore, that whole area there.
Yeah, I'm liking that pick. I wouldn't, that's like one of those games where like if you're taking Callaway, you can take a stack from that game because that's probably not one that people are overly targeting.
Yeah, I hear you.
So I like that play. Yeah, I could say that goes. You got Deontay right below him, Lockett and Julio. I mean, you're obviously the two names right around Deontay and Julio and Lockett. They all have better game scripts, so you might be getting a little different, which is good.
Yeah, okay. Anyone else that you want to mention before we move over to the tight ends?
So I actually don't mind paying up for Tyreek Hill in this week.
Okay.
That game just is juicy right now with a projected as a 54-point game total, 54 and a half, sorry. That like you're almost kind of like guaranteed Tyreek to get one. And with him being 8,200. Like that's probably like the low you're going to see him for the year. So I mean, I wouldn't mind trying to jam him in like one of the lineups. You could, I mean, with how loose
You could
everything's
fit him
priced
in.
right now, yeah, you could fit in a Mahomes, Hill, and Kelsey stack. That was everybody's goal last year was to try and do that. And with how loose everything is this year, you could definitely get that.
I like that a lot. What do you think about Calvin Ridley going in against that Atlanta game? I feel like that's obviously someone that's going to be targeted a lot because of the of what that game's supposed to be.
Yeah, definitely. He is I think he is the top. No, Callaway's the top, but right now Ridley is like
Right there.
he is good. Yeah, he is. He's up there. He's somebody that you want. He is the guy I think to target. I think just for the simple fact that Julio's gone. It's the first game of the season. Julio's gone. He's going to get everything and then everything again. I mean, Pitts is probably going to get a little bit.
Yeah.
He's gonna do well, but like they're like you could see 30 plus points from Ridley in this game, and he's only priced at 7,900. Again, another player you're probably never gonna see below 8K again, and he's only got a projection of like 17% right now. So like
Solid.
yeah, he's a solid pick.
Speaking of Kyle Pitts, let's move over to the tight ends. I'm interested in Kyle Pitts this week. It's chalky,
You and probably about everybody else is interested.
It's chalky as chalky can be, but that price range, you're getting him at 4,400. That's cheaper than Mike Gesicki, Logan Thomas. It's a bet. It's a trap, right?
I think this one is like you can eat the chalk on this one. Like you might like just take Pitts and run with it, right? Like, I mean, you can try and be contrarian and take somebody else, but who other than like if you're really trying to be contrarian, like or probably like realistically, like Kelsey could probably beat him on this slate. Um, Kittle has the potential, but I don't see it. I like Kittle for regular fantasy, but like in DFS this week, I don't like him. Just because I see that game going in favor of the Niners and they want to run. They don't really want to. They don't really want to pass. So I don't see Kittle as a good value in this week's slate. So I would take Pitts over Kittle, and then you start going down, and at this point you're paying for value that's not really there. Guys like Tanyan. I mean, you might want to if you play in a Niner stack, you could bring it back with TJ, but so Pitts is pretty chalky, but like he's one that's going to probably compete with Kelsey.
That's fair enough. Let's see. Obviously, this is just a Sunday list that we're looking at. So, if you're doing any Monday night, I actually really like Waller. I think Waller's going to have a booming game, and I'm very low on Waller, so I just want to throw that out there that I don't hate him.
For this week though, if you want a like cheap low floor, like you're just looking for somebody to catch maybe a touchdown and just like pencil you in for 10 points, I'm looking at Tyler Conklin. He is 2,900 and probably only about 3% ownership. So it really helps you out there with the savings. And that Minnesota game, I mean, what do you have to say about Cincinnati? Obviously their defense, but
not very strong.
With Irv Smith gone, with Henderson just coming in, and Rudolph vacating all those targets, there's no clear cut. I mean, you've got Thielen, and you've got Justin Jefferson. I mean, other than that, I mean, them and Dalvin, who else is going to catch those targets? I mean, all it takes is for somebody to hit value. Chad Beebe, yeah.
Chad Beebe.
You're literally looking for Conklin just to catch 2 catches for 20 yards and a touchdown at his price, and he's going to hit value for you. So that's all you're looking for him. So if that's somebody that bottom of the barrel, I'm looking just to get that.
I'm just going to throw this out there. Chad Beebe, only $3,100. Forget Marquez Callaway.
Uh,
Uh, and then for me personally, I think that's pretty much all the tight ends that I'm very happy to be playing this week. You mentioned a little bit earlier, like Fursker could have a pretty solid game. Same question in Tennessee. I mean, obviously Ryan Tannehill's not throwing the ball as much as Kirk Cousins, but outside of Julio and AJ, who else is going to be catching the ball there?
no,
Derrick
for
Henry's not
sure.
touching it.
Yeah, he's not going to catch that ball. I mean, you saw it last year when they got down to the goal line. They were throwing the ball up to Johnny, and he's not here anymore. So you saw later on in the season, though, Ferkser started taking over at that
Yeah,
position. So I mean,
absolutely. And he's sitting at 32 right now.
yeah. So that'd be a good grab. Another one I'd say, um, Tunyon probably doesn't offer the greatest value for his price range that he's at, but however, that is a good like pivot off of um, playing one of the secondary wide receivers in that Green Bay game. You could probably stack Rodgers with Devontae and going with Tunyon there.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not very strong on Tunyon this week. I don't think that he's going to be getting the volume that we're expecting, especially not those red zone targets that we're looking for. But that's me.
Hey, I mean, he's only projected for under 2% ownership. Like
He's
barely
probably
getting one.
in a tournament style where you're playing multiple lineups. He's definitely someone that you're going to want on at least one of them because he does have that chance to just randomly pop off.
Hmm.
And for the price, I mean, it's a tight end. It's a boomer bust position regardless where you're sitting.
The only problem that's the problem that I have with it though is you're going to be different, but you're looking at everybody wants to play Kyle Pitts at 44, so to be
Mm-hmm.
different, you just spend $200 down and you get Tunyon. You might not get the production that you're going to get from Pitts, but you're getting the touchdown upside from Tunyon. But touchdowns are a fickle thing to project year to year, so
Yeah.
I mean, that's really you're throwing a dart throw there, but you're really putting out that I'd probably play Tunyon if I'm playing multiple lineups. So
Yeah, I agree with that for sure. And then over in the defenses, I was kind of surprised when I was making this lineup for this week. The Dolphins, 2,900 rookie quarterback going up against one of the better secondaries in the league.
yeah,
Strong
that's
chance
a
for turnovers.
good play there. Pretty good play. I think that I'm not really. I don't know. I've kind of stayed hands off of that game.
Okay.
Um, just just personal preference. I'm looking at that game, seeing it's an inner division already.
Mm.
I mean, Belichick just knows how to crush quarterbacks in that division with that defense. But I mean, Tua, I'd still consider Tua as a rookie, even with what he played last year, getting kind of pulled and such. Like, I'm still looking at that as hey,
Sir, you see him shaking his head? He's saying no. 56 touchdowns this year. It's
oh
coming.
man, it's coming.
I'm kidding. No, it's not.
I probably see that game probably going somewhere around like 23 to like 15 or something like that. I don't see that being a barn burner
No,
at
I don't
all.
either. And that's why the only reason I'm touching any Dolphin this week would be that defense.
I mean, it's a. I'm not going to knock the play, but I'm probably not going to be favoring that defense,
Okay.
to be honest. I'd rather, if I'm going to do that, I'd rather go down and pay like Stone Min for a D and probably look at something like the Jags down at 2,400.
Okay.
Um,
It's a fair play.
it's not, yeah, it's, I'm looking at that game and it's just like the Texans are just a dumpster fire. Like it's been like they're doing the most professional tank job I've ever seen, and they're even playing with a 52-man roster because they have their star quarterback sitting. They're down one player. Everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, you can take a shot there with the Jags just because, you're looking at Tyrod's career completion average of like 18. You're not looking for a high game from high pass volume, and you're not looking for a high rushing totals from that committee
Not at all.
that they're running there. So, I mean, if the Jags could just get their act together and just look like resemblance of a football team, I think they're going to have a pretty good shot and of getting a pick, maybe a fumble here or there, probably getting about, I don't know, probably like 10 points, something like
10
that.
points on defense.
Yeah, 10 or 11
That's
points.
solid.
Yeah, I
Very
mean,
solid.
you're playing like down there. Another one that I'm also looking at is the Broncos. Pretty favorable matchup there with that defense that they've got going on against Mr. Danny Dimes himself and all of the hurt players that are there for New York. I just think that New York Giants franchise is just like right now in ruins. What you heard from preseason with the fights, the players like literally retiring out of that camp and such. Like I don't see that one a high scoring game either. So I like the Broncos, the Jags, Minnesota. If you want to even go a little lower than the Broncos, stay away from a little bit of chalk. You can attack Joe Burrow coming right off of that surgery. That offensive line is terrible, and the Vikings spent a lot of effort in the offseason to shore up that defense. And Zimmer's going to want to have his guys pin their ears back. And then,
Yeah.
not to say that I'm a homer or anything like that, the 49ers. Just because I know Goff gives up easy interceptions, and he's not very good with the football.
Yeah, I mean, it's more than likely going to be a early domination by the 49ers and then just a slow game after that, meaning low point totals. You get the boost from that. Could possibly be a 0-point game. So, or I'm sorry, a 0 point by the Lions game, which gives you a nice little point total right there.
Yeah.
All right. So let me just let's just give out some rosters really quick. I put one together. I have it in for a 50-50. So I'm just looking, and it's a one entry league. So I'm just looking for a little bit of comfort, a little bit of security. And then I just want you to tell me how bad it is. So I've got,
I'll do my best.
All right. So I've got Jalen Hurts,
Okay.
quarterback for 64, Alvin Kamara, and then James Robinson at my running backs. So
Okay.
Spence up there. And then Brandon Ayuk at wide receiver. I'm expecting him to get the ball early on in the game to help them move into that position where they might be running the ball a little bit more often towards the end. And on the shot that it does actually turn into a good game. Then I got Michael Pittman in there as well. Like you were saying, I think they are in a situation where they're going to force the ball down the field to catch up with the Seahawks if they do start moving. Then I've also got Laviska Shenault, wanted to take advantage of those Texans in that terrible, terrible matchup that he has. And then I got Kyle Pitts in there. Talked to you earlier. You told me it was chalky. I like the chalk. I'm going to stick with it. And then Terry McLaurin, and then the Dolphins defense.
I like it. Sounds good. That sounds like a strong cash lineup. I'm not going to knock it.
Okay.
So I'm liking it.
We're gonna lock it in right now.
Yeah, lock it in. So with you covering cash game, I'll take the GPP side of things. So mine, I'm going to give mine that I'm playing for the Millie Maker, not which one so that way I don't have anybody else playing it. You can go ahead and play this. So I'm going to go with the stack in the Falcons game, but I'm taking Ryan Tannehill, not Jalen Hurts, playing Dalvin Cook and James Robinson. So like your pick there with Robinson, I think he's going to get some pass volume and he's going to get some rushing, and he fits right in there. I went with the stack for with Calvin Ridley, with Matty Ice, and then ran it back with Devontae Smith right there, and then played Corey Davis. Just looking for high reception totals. I'm probably looking for him to catch about 8 passes, eight to maybe eight to 11 passes there, maybe a touchdown.
I'm going to say that big body's got the red zone upside all
He,
over it, especially with the rest
yeah,
of that roster being pretty small.
and I mean it's not. That's real quick before I continue.
Yeah.
That game, that Jets and Carolina game, that I feel is going to be a sneaky upside. I'm probably going to put another GPP lineup with that game stack in there. I think that one, just those two defenses, like I mean, there's a new regime that just came in New York, but I don't think they can I don't think Saul can fix that in like 1 year. Like they overhauled it, but like it takes some time.
Their biggest defensive signing of the offseason already sprained it. They tore his ACL.
Right. So, I mean, that one sneaky shootout potential right there. Like, I think that's like going to be one where it's like, I keep turning back to CBS and it's like, and there's another touchdown from this game, like, so I'm taking a shot at Corey Davis there. And then I am biting the chalk and taking Kyle Pitts in my tight end position. Then I'm running it back with Marvin Jones.
Okay.
With Robinson, and then I'm taking Minnesota's defense to absolutely crush Joe Burrow.
Hey, if the Bengals offense looks as bad as we heard they are in camp, and as they looked in this preseason, then that might be the best play of the week.
Mm-hmm.
I'll have to give you that one. I really like yours. There's definitely those guys that I'm expecting are probably not as highly owned, like Corey Davis. Definitely have some good value there to help build up those high-end running backs. So if your team hits, you're going to hit big because it's going to be very unique compared to some other ones in there. So I like it a lot. Anything else you want to say about the week?
Oh, it's just this is gonna, just kind of what we said earlier. Just don't be surprised. This is going to be a really loose week, so a lot of players are going to have a lot of different teams out there. Find a game, find a narrative that you like. Make sure you pay attention to the Twitter sphere on Saturday. Pay attention to it early on Sunday morning when Schefter starts tweeting out, early in the morning, all the guys that are, I was listening to a podcast earlier this year and he's like, all no guys are out by Friday, but the team's like, hey, don't say anything till Sunday. Don't say anything about this. And so like, he really tweets out on those early mornings because that's when he can tweet it out. So really pay attention to that kind of stuff and don't be afraid. Go big, go bold, and stay away from some of the chalk, but eat it when you need to.
Yeah, there's definitely situations you can do that. So thank you again, Hugh, for joining us for another episode. Hopefully you come back for the next one. Everyone, hope you guys can win some money with some of this information that we're giving you. Hopefully some of these guys work out very strongly. They find themselves into your lineups, and we can all talk about how much money the Fantasy Tap won you by the end of the season. Cut us in a little bit. Me and Hugh can split it 2 ways to make everyone happy. If you guys haven't already, make sure you follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and as well as being subscribed to our YouTube channel. Do us a huge favor, hit that like button. It'll make me and him very happy, give us big smiles. And then I hope everyone's very excited for this week 1 NFL. Can't wait to can't wait to watch these games. I am so pumped.
So stoked.
Thank you guys again. We will see you next time. Enjoy.